again. Welcome to Weslaco High School, parents and our special guests. I'm Yvette Morales, the principal at Weslaco High School. Super excited about being here and just very honored that with us today we have a member from our State Board of Education, Mr. Ruben Cortez. Let's give him a round of applause and welcome him to Weslaco High School. We're here to honor our students. We were here with the boys and then we got together with the young ladies and we announced who were going to be our delegates that were going to represent Weslaco High School for this summer's conference. And we're very, very excited about that. And anytime that we have something special, we have an opportunity to also make a proclamation. So I've been to several of these. These are important, you all. This is something that is not done every day. So today we're going to have a proclamation on your behalf. Under y'all's names for Weslaco High School. So I want to thank you for that because that's another opportunity for us to highlight all the great things that are going on, not just here at Weslaco High School and the district and the Rio Grande Valley. So once again, round of applause for our students. And a big congratulations to our parents because as I see all these students here and I look at their resumes and I think about all the work that they do, I know that that costs a lot of time and your part, a lot of effort, a lot of pickup and drop off and trying to keep up with them. I don't know how you all do it, but you all are amazing. So thank you to our parents. Thank you for all you do. Want to recognize some special guests that we have. As always, we have K-West in the house, so thank you, K-West, for the amazing job that they do. And then with us today from Central Office, we have our Director of Student Support Services, Mrs. Norma Brewer. Thank you, Mrs. Brewer. And we have Mr. David Fuentes joining us here today also. Mr. Fuentes, thank you for always making time. At this time, I'm going to introduce somebody who's super special to me. He's super special to me, and if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here standing before you. He was my mentor. We worked together side by side here at Weslaco High School, and I learned a lot. Sometimes when people tell me, like, oh, like, how did you do that? And man, that was super nice. That was very thoughtful of you. I always tell people, like, that's really not me. I learned a lot from my own mentor. So I want to introduce our school board president and my mentor, Mr. Isidoro Nieto. Mr. Nieto. And our head counselor is joining us here. She took the lead with the help of Mr. Garza also, Mr. Garza and our head counselor, Ms. Cristina Rodriguez. And I did mention him already, Mr. Garza, but I'm going to mention him again because we've been doing Boys State and Girls Blue Bonnet for a long, long time. We've been doing it for years. When you all were announced, you remember you had people here from like, woohoo, class of 1976, and they were all super excited. So we've been doing this for decades and decades, but this is the first time ever where we've done something super special for our students. So you all have set the bar for us as administrators. Mr. Garza has set the bar for Weslaco High School so that we continue honoring and recognizing our students' efforts. So round of applause for Mr. Garza. Thank you, sir. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and begin, and I'm going to introduce again, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Mr. Nieto, and then Mr. Nieto will say a little bit about our special guest, and then we'll move on with the proclamation. Mr. Nieto. I think it's for K-West, yes.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, let me, of course, thank Mr. David Fuentes because he attends a lot of activities during the time that he's now been a county commissioner. He was also one of our former coaches here, a former teacher, excellent coach. So, Mr. Fuentes, thank you for being here. And now, the honored guest, Mr. Cortez. Of course, Mrs. Morales mentioned that he's a former board member in Brownsville, correct? And of course, is an advocate for education, and of course, for boys and girls delegate. This is one of the groups that always, I know that there's many skills that you have already. You're organized. You make good grades, you have good attendance, you score well in ACT and SAT, that's just a given. So, and of course, the people that select you are your teachers, correct? And your administrators, they select you. So again, let me welcome Mr. Cortez for the proclamation. Welcome, Mr. Cortez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, let me start by saying congratulations to all of you guys. You know, sometimes being a high school student, it's real easy to get off track, right? Once you get involved with your friend circle, and I remember my high school days, and I wish I had stories like this to share about when I was in high school. But unfortunately, my high school upbringing was very different. Being part of Girl State or Boy State is probably something you would have never seen someone like me do. And it wasn't because I didn't understand or because I didn't try, but because, as your counselor can attest, sometimes when you come to school, some kids, like me, we came from a very challenged household, right? And I would bring these problems, and I would lash out. I would always, I was just that kid that when teachers got together during nurse service, they would say, "Oh my God, you got Ruben next year? Oh, good luck," right? Like, that was me. And so for me to get to hang out with students and tell them about some of the mistakes that I've made, and to take a different path and do things differently, and I give thanks to God every day. I tell people, by the grace of God, I am here today doing what I do. And so to be here to recognize you guys, for me is very, very exciting. So parents, congratulations to all of you. And before I get into what we're here to talk about, your principal talked about how there's alums from previous years. Chano, my friend, Chano Garza over here, he's one of the biggest advocates for the Valley, for the Valley to be recognized, for Weslaco, for sure, without a doubt. He is one of the biggest champions and cheerleaders that I know for the Weslaco area. And when I saw it in the paper, I told him that I wanted to come, and he says, "No, you can't. You have to wait because they haven't announced the girls yet. And so you got to do both the boys and the girls." So we had to wait, make sure that we got everybody included. But you have several alumni that have come before you. You got Chano Garza, who's the chair, and he's an alum from Weslaco High School. You have our county commissioner, David Fuentes, who is also a former school board member here at Weslaco. And I know it's kind of hard to let go, right? You keep coming back to the school activities. I was a school board member, so I still go to the football games. I still go to all these different activities that the schools invite me to, and throughout my region. So, but also former alum, also from Weslaco ISD. There's a few others. Jaime Solis, who's a school board member at South Texas ISD. He's a Donna High School alumni. You got one of your very own, Sandra Avila, who's a CTE director. She's somebody who I reach out to all the time whenever we're going to do something in Austin about CTE. I had lunch with all of her group recently when they were concerned about some of the programs in cosmetology. We met at Arturo's and try to figure out how we can work through some of the concerns they were having. That's always a good place to go have meetings. They have delicious food. So it was very easy to get me there and meet with all of them and go over some of their concerns. But I tell you all of this because you all already know what Boy State and Girl State is, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. But imagine yourself 20 years from now. It could be you guys standing here reading these recognitions for other students who've done the same thing. It could be you sitting over there as one of the local leaders in your community that's bringing about this change that you might see from your eyes that you'd like to bring to a community or to the state or to the county or to the local school district in whatever capacity, or through your profession. And so I'm deeply excited to be here today. And I also want to recognize your superintendent who walked in here. Dr. Canales has been an outstanding leader for Weslaco. So thank you for coming, Priscilla. I appreciate you making time. I know running a district is very difficult. So thank you for coming out here. But again, I'm happy to be here with you guys. Parents, congratulations. Each year the American Legion and the American Legion Auxiliary sponsor Girls and Boy State. These prestigious programs teach high school students about government and its functions, at the local and state level. And this is why it started with the alums, right? Because you've got your very own commissioner from this precinct. And thanks in part to him and his office, Precinct 1 has become a better precinct because he understands the needs locally. And you guys get exposed to these types of things as you go through these leadership type programs. It teaches you guys about the rights and responsibilities of being a good voting citizen. You know, we have a tremendous amount of voter apathy in this country, not just in the Valley, but in the country. And so you need to vote, and when you vote your conscience, whatever that is. That's up to you guys. That's going to be between you and the choices that you all make. But we always encourage young voters to do research on all of the candidates that are running so that you can make an informed decision for yourself. And so these are part of the things that you go through. You know, not only do you hear about how government works, but you become elected officials serving in city council, state legislators, or even governors. Through this role play, you get the real feel of how government and bureaucracy works. You know, Boy State members even meet in the Texas House chamber, so they definitely get the full experience. Have any of you ever been to the Capitol? Have you been in that House chamber? It's an overwhelming feeling. When you walk in there and see that this is the chamber where laws are made that impact public education, the city of Weslaco, the Rio Grande Valley, the state of Texas. You know, recently I had an opportunity to go to the National School Boards Conference, and I went to the place where our founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence. And just walking through that room, through Independence Hall, you know, knowing that our founding fathers penned and signed our founding document in that room. I mean, it's this surreal feeling that you get when you're in there, you know. And through Boy State, you get an opportunity to walk the Texas House chamber, to be in the Texas House chamber. It's not easy being selected to be a delegate for Girl State or Boy State. So, you know, congratulations to you guys for doing that. You know, to be considered alone is an honor, but you must have, I think your board president talked about it and your principal talked about it, 80 or higher grade point average. You need to have strong community involvement. Nowadays, you guys get involved in so many activities. I'm a parent to 2 high schoolers. I honestly think that my 11th grader has a busier schedule than I do. It is unreal. Today I dropped her off and they're taking her to a college fair, and she's already had over 400 volunteer hours with Keep Brownsville Beautiful, a youth ambassador program, and that's over the course of 2 school years, you know. And so today you guys are involved in so much in addition to your athletics and your UIL activities and all these other things that you have going on. But to be able to do that, you need to have the support of your parents, and I see a lot of them sitting here today. You know, so congratulations to all of you, because that exhibits those leadership skills, and you have to be recommended by 2 of your teachers, right? Students, you must also write an essay about leadership. You know, I'm excited to let you all know, to be here and recognize the 6 girls and the 5 boys from Weslaco High School that have been selected as delegates to the Girls and Boys State. You know, if we could, when I call your name up, I'm going to call up, I guess, the girls, and then we'll call up the boys. And while you're up here, I don't know if we should do one by one. There's 2 separate resolutions. Would you prefer I do the girls and then the boys? Yeah? Yeah? Can I get the board president and the commissioner? You want to hand out the resolutions while I read them? When I call your name up, if you can come up. Let me get these out. extras. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 girls.
Yes, sir.
So if I can get Kirsten Padilla, Audrey Blaine Bruneman, Alexi J. Gonzalez, Zoe Peña, Lauren Lasso, and Kaylee Martinez. So these young ladies will be attending Girls State. That'll be held June 16 to 20 through the 22nd at Texas Lutheran University in Seguin. And so these are your representatives that will be representing Weslaco ISD. Congratulations to you guys. And so in recognition of this honor, I'd like to read a proclamation that they're gonna hand to each one of you. It's proclamation. Whereas it is vital that Americans educate young people about the duties, privileges, and responsibilities of American citizenship. And whereas the American Legion and the American Legion Auxiliary began the effort to educate young people about our government more than half a century ago by sponsoring the Texas Bluebonnet Girls State Program, and whereas Girls State has given many future elected officials their first exposure to the operation of state government, and whereas 6 Weslaco students have been selected to participate in this prestigious program, and whereas those students selected are high school juniors with an 80 or higher grade point average and strong community involvement and leadership skills, have been recommended by 2 teachers and have written an essay on leadership. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Texas State Board of Education member Ruben Cortez, Jr., do congratulate Kirsten Padilla, Audrey Blaine Bruneman, Alexi J. Gonzalez, Zoe Peña, Lauren Lasso, and Kaylee Martinez on their selection as delegates to the 2019 Girls State Convention to be held June 16th through 22nd at Texas Lutheran University, and wish them well as they represent Weslaco High School. In official recognition, I hereby affix my signature this 15th day of April 2019. Congratulations, ladies, and we hope that you make Weslaco proud, and whatever life has in store for you guys, remember that this could be the very beginning of a bright future in politics. One of you may be on the Board of Education at some point, making education policy for all children in Texas the way we do. You know, you may be a young doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is that you all want to be. County commissioner. Yeah, you may want to take over our roles. You may be the next principal of Weslaco High School, the next counselor. Weslaco High School. You could be whatever you want. Don't let anybody tell you that there isn't anything that you can't do. I like to tell people, and I'll say this, and before I bring the boys up, I still remember the words of my 3rd grade teacher. I remember as a young kid, I used to go to a school called El Jardín Elementary. And my parents had very little money. We had very little money, and every time that we would take our group photos, our class photos, they would give us the envelope, and it had a little picture of us, and across our picture, it had the word proof stamped across it. And I remember one day our teacher said, bring a photo from home, and we're going to do a class project on Friday. It's going to be a fun learning experience. But I didn't have a photo, but I had that one that said proof, and so I remember bringing it. And I remember the teacher walks out, and she brings this little basket of supplies, and it had glue, it had scissors, it had construction paper, and she pulls out these little superheroes. Back then we didn't have Iron Man, but we had the Hulk, we had Spider-Man, we had Superman, we had Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern. Well, I remember she walks around and she says, I want you to pick what superhero you want to be. And she says, and I don't ever want anyone in here to ever believe that there's nothing that they can't do in life. This is 3rd grade. It was a long time ago for me. And she says, there's nothing, there's no obstacle too big that you can't break down. There isn't anything that you can't become if you want to be it. And then she goes around the class and she says, what superhero do you want to be? Finally, she gets around to me and I pull Superman out of her bucket. And I remember she cut Superman's head off. And that was traumatizing for a third grader. But then she puts my head on the Superman. And she says, today you become Superman. And she says, and I always want you to remember that. And so I tell people when I go and talk to teachers during professional developments, I remind them that because of Miss Garcia, I became Superman. And that lady gave me so much strength and confidence that day that she doesn't realize the gift that she gave me that day. I share that story all the time because of one teacher. I tell people I became Superman. And I don't care, I may fail, but that's okay. We learn from life. And so that's my message to all of you. Be whoever you want to be. And it's okay to fail in life, but don't let that failure define who you are, who you become, because we learn from those lessons and from those mistakes in life. So congratulations. We have these proclamations for you all, and we want to also bring up the boys here in a couple of minutes. I wish all of you the very, very, very best. So now I'd like to introduce your representative for Boy State. So if you can please stand when we call your name. Noah Luis Garza McGinnis, Michael Wilfredo Aviles, Peyton Voss, Taryn Sauceda, and Suriel Martes. So the proclamation reads, whereas educating young people about the structure and function of government is vitally important to maintaining our democracy, and whereas the American Legion Boy State program is amongst the most respected educational programs of government instruction in the country, and whereas the young men of Weslaco who are chosen to participate in this program must be Weslaco High School juniors, maintain an 80 or higher curriculum grade point average, display outstanding leadership and community involvement, be recommended by 2 teachers, and submit an essay explaining what leadership means to me. And whereas 5 Weslaco students have been selected to be delegates at the 2019 Texas Boy State in June 9th through the 14th in Austin, Texas. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Texas State Board of Education member Ruben Cortez Jr., do congratulate Noah Luis Garza McGinnis, Michael Wilfredo Aviles, Peyton Voss, Taryn Sauceda, and Suriel Martes on their selection as Boy State's delegates, and wish them well as they represent Weslaco High School. In an official recognition whereof I hereby affix my signature on this 15th day of April, 2019. Congratulations, boys. And again, I'm just going to echo the same thing. You guys can do or be or become anything that you want. I assure you that when I was your age, I never imagined that I'd be making policy decisions for 5.4 million students. My teachers would have been sitting in my first homeroom class thinking, that kid's not going to be making decisions for all 5 million kids. But, you know, God has a way of changing somebody's life. And so congratulations to all of you. And don't let anybody tell you that there's nothing you can't achieve. So congratulations. So these are your representatives from Weslaco. And the young ladies, can you please stand and can we give them one big round of applause? These are going to be your boys and girls state representatives. Congratulations, guys.
And students and parents, congratulations again. We're so very proud of you. Learning about government, you know, is critical. for the success of our country. Involvement, understanding the way things work is a way we make a difference. To our parents, congratulations. We're so proud. One of our goals, we have 5. The very first one, student success. We thank you for being our partners, which is our goal 3, and the lives of students, and for being advocates, not just for your beautiful students before us, but for all students in our district. So thank you, we're so proud. And Mr. Cortez, for your leadership at the state level. He's a firm advocate for public ed, and he works with all the superintendents on a regular basis, always reaching out, asking us what we think, asking us to get feedback from our principals and our community so we do right by children. So we thank you and we applaud you for that. Keep up the great work. And we have a certificate for you. It's not a proclamation. It's a certificate of appreciation. So this certificate of appreciation is hereby awarded to Ruben Cortez, District 2, State Board of Education, for your leadership and service to Weslaco ISD and Weslaco High School, where we take ownership and lead. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to your next Tinaco, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
next year.
Do
you want a picture with it?
Yeah. Do I put this down?
Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I was inspired. I don't know about you all students, but I was inspired by Mr. Cortez's words that he shared with us today. And we thank you for all the work that you do in representing us up there in Austin.
These guys make it easy.
Oh, yes. And
Students like this to make what we do very easy.
And I like what he says. He says, you know, I'm just like the rest of you all. He was sharing with us parents that he just went on a trip to the all-region choir program. He was a chaperone. He served as a chaperone this past weekend, so he had a lot of fun. He was up at 5 o'clock in the morning having breakfast with kids at a hotel.
Yes.
So thank you for all the work that you
And
do.
they asked me to do it again on May 4th.
So he's going to be out there
I did
again.
such a good job, they called me back this morning and asked me to do it again.
So thank you. Round of applause for Mr. Cortez again.
Well, it's super important to go and learn about our government and issues that are going on in today's society. I'm honored to be selected to go to Girls State, and I'm excited to learn what's in store for our future because the generation of tomorrow is really going to impact society's future.
I'm honestly very ready and I'm prepared to meet a lot of new people and be able to share experiences after I go, and I'm really excited to experience all the government and the companionship and the leadership that I'm going to be able to learn.
I'm very honored to have been chosen to go to Girls State Bluebonnet. It's a great experience to be able to learn more about my government and be able to represent the beautiful city of Weslaco and Weslaco High School.
I think it just presents a really interesting opportunity to be able to see how the government around us functions instead of just reading and learning about it.